Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Salem, and our question tonight comes to us from After Fove, who asks us about the Wiccan point of view on humor, specifically mischievous humor. And I'm going to answer the question, in fact, dealing with humor in general. And the Wiccan attitude toward humor in general varies greatly according to the Wiccan. There are certain Wiccans who have no sense of humor whatsoever. There are others who have wonderful senses of humor and who consider humor to be very much a spiritual thing. And I fall into the latter category. I personally think that it's extremely important that we both as individuals and as a community have the ability to laugh at ourselves, to see the humor in situations, and to enjoy life. And I think that humor is a very important thing, and I think that humor is very much a spiritual thing. And I think that for a large portion of the Wiccan community, this would be a point of view they would agree with. Some Wiccans have, how can we put it? Some Wiccans have very fragile egos, and that could be a whole other vlog. But one of the symptoms of this is a lack of a sense of humor, particularly regarding themselves. And these people are very easily offended. Back in the 80s and 90s, the green-faced Halloween witch was frequently a source of great offense to such people, whereas others of us thought it was amusing. And of course, the green-faced Halloween witch only goes back to the 1930s and the Wizard of Oz. And I personally have no problem with it. I have very little problem with humor in general as long as it's meant well. I have a lot more problem, for example, with the hideously ugly Halloween witch than ever with the green-faced witch. And I don't really consider either one of them to have much to do with real witchcraft. I think that it's vitally important for us as people to have a sense of humor about ourselves and about our world. Because, you know, sometimes life is either laughing or crying. And if you can't laugh, well, you're kind of stuck, aren't you? So I think that a sense of humor is something that should be nurtured and nourished in our community. And I think it's a good thing. So, I don't know if that can be called a Wiccan point of view on humor or simply Reverend Don's view on humor, but there you go. Whichever one it is, you have it. And so until next time, may you blessed be. So have you heard the one about the minister, the rabbi, and the witch? But wait, don't forget our books. Witch School, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree. And also Living the Wiccan Life, and Ritual in Theory and Practice, available at a bookstore near you, or get them direct from us at www.witchschoolstore.com. So, there's this minister, this rabbi, and this witch, and they're on a fishing trip together. And they're sitting in the boat, and they're having a good time. They're talking, they're chatting, they're fishing. Several hours go by, and noon comes around, and the minister decides he's hungry. So he says to his friends, you know, I'm hungry, I need to go get my lunch off the shore. And he gets up, and he gets out of the boat, and he walks across the water to the shore, gets his lunch, walks back across the water, gets back in the boat, and eats his lunch. And the witch kind of looks at him and says, well, you know, I'm hungry too. So she gets up and walks across the water to the shore and gets her lunch and walks back across the water, gets in the boat and eats her lunch. And the rabbi's looking at them and he's thinking, my goodness, this is strange. I don't know how they're doing that, but you know, their faith is no stronger than mine. And if they can walk across the water, I can walk across the water too. So he says, you know, I'm also hungry and I'm going to go get my lunch. So he stands up and gets out of the boat and steps on the water and sinks like a stone. And the minister looks at the witch and says, gee, do you think we should have told him about the board under the water? And the witch looks back at the minister and she says, there was a board under the water?